Don't call her cute, don't call her feisty. She's a rebel, she is nasty, she is brave. She isn't honey, sweetie, sugar pie, baby. And don't you ever say that she was well behaved. Don't you ever say that she was well behaved. And don't you ever say that she was well behaved.
He went from like a little round to now like normal, I guess.
Yeah. What's his name? The guy from Parks and Rec. Is that Chris?
Yeah, Chris Pratt.
I always get Chris Pine and Chris Pratt confused.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, he looks, it
was like a real like Chris Pratt transformation.
Yeah.
That is a shocking transformation. Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really...
Because he was so cute when he was a little cute, round.
But
like,
I mean, I'm not going to lie. He looks amazing now.
I know, but I like the
I do like the rounder. I liked both.
Man in Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, they have enough of those. Kevin James puts in the work.
Yeah,
for
but
that.
Kevin James isn't like attractive and round.
Yeah.
He's just like Chris Pratt was.
He was, yeah.
He was just like very.
I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio on an off day, you know.
Really?
Yeah, he has the dad bod thing. Oh, you don't think he's attractive? I think he's attractive.
I don't think he's attractive.
Yeah.
And also he's so much older. Like,
yeah. I don't know. I guess that's true. I don't know that many actors that are round and attractive. Interesting.
It's not. It's not interesting. How are you?
I'm good.
I think I'm a little sleepy.
Yeah, me too. Did you go to bed at a decent hour?
Yeah, and it's like I have the last 2 nights like gone to bed at a decent hour and slept in a little, but I think like my body is still catching up
from the
like
week.
It's the kind of thing where like 2 days isn't gonna cut it. I need more, but I'm not gonna get more.
Well, maybe could you go to bed early tonight? I mean, you could plan to and then never do it.
I know it's really hard to like readjust, like to reset your clock.
Yeah, I think staying out so late at that party this weekend is really gonna bite me in the ass. Last night I went to bed at like 1:30.
You were so good last night.
Thanks. You too.
One of the first things Shaki said when we left, he was like, I didn't know Molly could sing like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Which I didn't either. Like, I know you could sing. Like, I knew that because I've taken a road trip with you and I've sung Backstreet Boys with you. But like, it was like, oh, you should be on Broadway.
There's so many people who are better than me to be on Broadway.
But there are so many people who are worse.
That's true. Maybe that's true.
I've been trying to look at things that way.
That's a good way to look at things.
Donald Trump is president. You can be anything.
That's true. He really is an inspiration to the mediocre.
Yeah, I've really been trying to frame everything that way lately.
True. I mean, that's very nice. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to incorporate singing and comedy more. Musical comedy is tough, though. It's really, like, so rarely good. And, yeah, it's a tricky thing. I feel like it's and I also don't play any instruments, which I think hinders that a lot. Unfortunately.
Did you ever like take
Not
lessons?
really. I mean, I took lessons for piano and guitar throughout my life, but I never really got good at either. I just bought a keyboard. Sam Reddy was selling it for $10, so I bought it.
Oh, nice.
I played like Let It Go on the keyboard, just the chorus, but I don't know. I mean, I'd have to do it every day.
Can you do the chords and stuff too, or just the melody?
Just for the chorus, I was like practicing both. I found this like goofy guy on the internet who like definitely was for children, and so I mean, I know them. It's not good, you know, but yeah, I figure maybe I should like incorporate it's hard though. It's like there's so much stuff to do. How can I practice every day between like work and stand up and rehearsal?
Just give yourself 20 minutes every day.
Yeah, I should.
Make a practice log. Like write it down. That's what we had to do like in middle school and high school.
Really?
Was practice logs for music.
Okay. I think I should get a stand for it because right now it's just on the ground and then I have to put it. I usually just put it on, which is also like not probably like proper posture. I'll put it on these like tables in front of my couch and then sit on my couch and then play it.
Yeah. If you have it out, you're more likely to play it.
Yeah.
Too.
So I need to, but then there's not really a place in the apartment to put it. So I have to think maybe over here, like maybe in front of the window. I mean, it's not quite like if I got a little stand and just put it right there.
You should put it up on the window, and then when the church across the street starts singing "Glory, Glory, Hallelujah," you just start accompanying them.
That's a great idea.
Put a speaker up, blast it over, and be like, "How do you like it?"
Just play like a bunch of.
Play some Jewish songs.
Yeah, Jewish songs. I was about to say like heavy metal, like satanic stuff, but I hate that kind of music, so I don't want to do that. But I don't know what the opposite of. I think Jewish. Would be good.
Jewish.
But there's not that much Jewish music. There's a bunch of klezmer
music. No. You just get into the like
Modest Yahoo,
or even just like for youth group, we would sort of like modernize some of the prayers to make them more fun.
Wow.
I know, looking back on it, it's like, interesting. That's really
What's this?
We got
some
you.
Mail.
Last night I was talking, are you going to open your mail?
Oh, why not? I don't know. Why did it just appear here?
Last night I was talking to Alyssa and I was like, can you sing? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh, thank God there's somebody else in this who can't sing.
Also, thank God that Alyssa can do anything wrong. She is so talented and beautiful.
God, she's so good. But
I think she's a really good dancer.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
It's like so natural.
That's
for
something
her.
I'm not as good at.
Well, and then I was like, well, I can sing like Hebrew prayers. And she was like, yeah, I can sing Greek hymns. Like there's something about like what you grew up singing and that.
You can sing that, yeah.
That
I know, I grew up singing musical theater, so that's that's my religion, baby.
Could you sing? Did you know that you could sing growing up?
Yeah, I always. I was like said this out loud yesterday, and it was embarrassing, but I have been talking to my therapist about how I like most of my life I identified as a singer, and then I didn't all of a sudden. I think I got to college, and when I was in college, there was like a musical theater school like within Tisch, and those people were just so, and there were also just some people not even in that who just have like, I mean, I went to college, there's people I still know, Nicole Weiss, Brooke Howard, just a couple of my friends who have like stunning, unbelievable voices, just like the kind of voice that you're like, what the fuck, like just outrageous voices, and mine wasn't that. So it always, I think I sort of started to hear that, and I was like, well, then that's not really, I shouldn't, what am I doing here, you know? And so I just didn't, and then I didn't really have an outlet for it that much in college. Like I wasn't in the musical theater school, so I didn't have like classes for it. Then in like junior year of college, I was in this like experimental theater wing, and there was like this vocal class.
Is that where like the audience would be on stage with you?
yeah, it was very interactive. It was just like a lot of rolling on the floor and like making weird noises. I went to college, so I don't know.
$40,000 a year.
I know. Well, I didn't pay for it, thank God. But a lot of people did. And so it was, I started to sing then, but it just never was like it, like in high school, in middle school and high school, even elementary, growing up, like from when I was a kid till through high school, I was like the singer. And then I wasn't the singer anymore, and I think that that's kind of spooked me, and so I still sang and stuff. And then when I got to New Orleans, I mean, I was in a musical when I got there, so I did that.
What musical?
I was in Spring Awakening, like it was like this like community theater production of Spring Awakening. Yeah. And that was cool. And then it just kind of faded. Me and Kate Mason we would write, we had like a sketch group in New Orleans, and we would write
Raw Honey.
Yeah, it's called Raw Honey. And we would write some like comedic songs. But yeah, I don't know. It just like became less like the thing that I did. So it was nice that I had this chance. I mean, I still don't quite know how to like integrate it properly, you know?
Did you identify more as a singer than an actor? Or did it sort of go hand in hand?
Growing up, I did, yeah.
Yeah.
But I always liked musical theater, so it was kind of like that mixed thing, you know? But then when I was like going to college, I didn't want to apply for the music. I don't know why. I guess because I wasn't a dancer, and that felt intimidating, and I don't know. I just wanted to do like straight acting for some reason.
Yeah.
So
I get it. Also, sometimes when you go to college, you're like, I'm ready for a change. Like, I'm ready to not be who I was growing up.
Staying in the city I grew up in.
Yeah. So it's like, well, what am I in control of changing?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were so good. a lot of, and like May has a great voice.
Yeah, May can sing,
which
for sure.
like I think now knowing,
and I think Talia can too.
Talia can sing. Maria can sing.
Yeah, Maria.
So many of you guys. Carolina can sing.
I know,
like,
we should.
I know it makes like doing all female reboot with like so many Christmas songs makes me want to like sit down and watch like Newsies and other male musicals and write them for you guys, because
awesome.
It was also really fun to write song parodies.
It is fun. I know. That's the other thing about like musical comedy is I feel like the song parody game it's fun for something like this, like a show.
Yeah.
But Weird Al kind of like cornered the market on like the guy who does song parodies. Like I don't know that I feel like song parodies are like a weird thing to do if it's like that's the thing you do all the time. You know what I mean? I think it works in this context.
It's also 2017. You can't just be good at one thing anymore.
Yeah.
You have to like.
Yeah.
You have
diversify that portfolio.
Excuse me. Yes, that's my singing voice.
Beautiful.
That's the note I can hit.
Timbre.
But yeah, it's like it was just so amazing to like watch you guys.
Thanks. That was
be
fun.
good.
That was a fun show. We had a little bit of a tech issue, but
again, it's like learning to run with weights on your ankles.
Yes,
it's
it
like
is. It's
like,
just we're not going to do any of this stuff again.
Well, next year.
Yeah.
Assuming like we're still here and
right. North Korea hasn't bombed us.
I've been waking up in the morning sometimes going like, oh good, it's still here.
Oh my God. Oh, I've been having a lot more anxiety about death lately. I used to be very like, all right. Well, back in the day I would have a lot of panic attacks about dying. Then I was like, whatever, if I die, I die. And now I'm scared of it again.
Why?
I don't know. My therapist thinks that it's because I'm like not happy. And so like if you're happy, you're like, all right, if I die, I'm happy. But like if I'm not happy, it's like, oh no, this is it. I gotta figure it out.
But if you die with a lot of unfinished business, you get to come back as a ghost.
Right. See, I think I just die. But maybe
I think so too.
Maybe not.
But I like the idea of you haunting me if you die before me.
Thanks.
Will you haunt me?
Sure.
Thanks, baby girl.
Of course.
That's all I want.
We'll do the podcast from beyond. I wonder if we'd have more listeners in the afterlife, you know?
Impossible. We're already at our peak.
I wonder if Well Behaved is really cool, because then we could interview the people we talk about. That'd be pretty cool.
We could.
That'd be awesome.
You're right. Yeah, that'd be so cool we should
do that.
But then we're missing out on all the evil women who are in hell.
Oh man, I just thought of a cool idea. Maybe one day we should try an experiment with the form where instead of just telling each other about it, we become the character and we interview the other one.
Yes, I would love that.
Maybe we're just going to change this podcast midway through. Who cares?
Maybe that could be like a little extra bonus.
We could try it,
content.
and if it's fun. Ooh, that actually might be good if we start a Patreon.
In high school, I wrote, we had to read, what was that? Oh no.
Uh-oh, I just spilled things on my phone. Okay.
Okay?
BRB. Keep talking.
Yeah. In high school, I had to read, what was it? In the Woods, or what's the Thoreau book where he's Walden. Where he's just like, I was alone and in the woods, and isn't that so much better? Even though he was really just like in his mom's backyard.
Was he?
Yeah.
The original Well Actually guy.
Yeah. But we had to like, I hated it. I did not enjoy reading it. And for one of our projects, we had to like write.
I'm back.
Hey, we had to write an interview with Thoreau. So I did it like an Oprah style interview with Thoreau.
Ooh.
And her just complaining about
how
this.
You get a Walden.
Well, it was her complaining about how the station made her read the book. She like didn't really understand anything in it.
That's funny.
So yeah, that'd be fun.
Comedian from way back, Ariel Elias.
Yeah,
I almost drank the microphone.
I saw that.
What's going on?
You okay?
Am I drunk from 2 days ago? Maybe.
I don't know.
Perhaps. Well, should we dive right in?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Is it? I literally.
I'm
always
first.
Forget. Okay, go for it.
Do you want an intro?
Oh yeah, this is Well Behaved.
podcast
about women in history who you probably haven't heard of. Obscure Women in History.
Obscure Women in History, hosted by
I'm Molly Ruben-Long
and Ariel Elias.
And hey, just a quick reminder to subscribe and maybe give us a little 5-star rating, maybe a little review.
Yes,
maybe a little review about what you like, who you'd like to hear about, your favorite episode.
Email
a woman
us
in history who's a woman who's not very well behaved.
Oh, maybe she was bad.
Just a bad girl.
A bad girl.
Just anything. It really helps us a lot. So please do it. Thank you.
And you can email us at wellbehavedpod@gmail.com and tell us your suggestions.
Yes. Okay.
Bye.
The end.
The end of the episode. Okay. So my woman this week is Janet Collins. I'm just going to bury the lead. She was a black ballerina. She was one of the first. So she was born in New Orleans when I decided to do her, I didn't know that she was born in New Orleans. I feel like we talk about New Orleans on every episode, but it's where I was happiest. So she was born in New Orleans, March 7th in 1917. Wow. Her parents were Creole. Her mom was a seamstress and her dad was a tailor, which I'm pretty sure is the same thing. It differentiated. I think it's just that like men started sewing and were like, we need a manlier term for this. What's the least manly? A seamster. But like, what's the least manly man name? Taylor with an I. So at the time, New Orleans was segregated to the point where black people weren't allowed in the public library. And Janet's family was like, this is not the environment for our young, talented daughter. I think her grandmother especially was the one who was like, we need to get her out of this. Like, she needs to go somewhere where she can just be her. So, they moved to Los Angeles in 1921 when Janet was 4 years old. And this is when she started doing ballet, because I feel like 4 years old is when every girl starts doing ballet.
Yeah.
My mom, did you ever do ballet?
Yeah, I think I took a class or two.
My mom put me in it and I don't think I finished the session. I was like, this is stupid and I hate this.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. It was pretty boring.
I got a run in every pair of tights. I felt like we were just like running around, and also my feet go in, they don't go out because I'm, what's it called, pigeon-toed. So
I wonder if there's ever been a pigeon-toed ballerina.
Probably not. I can make my left foot though go all the way, like my right foot can point forward and my left foot can point backward.
That's so creepy. It's
like
my crooked arms.
Oh,
you've never seen that? Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. I have very hyperextended elbows. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Bend. This is a visual thing. My arms are hyperextended at the elbow joint, so like the forearm part just goes like extra left.
That's insane. Can you control it, or it just happens?
No, I mean, like if I straighten my arm, that's what happens.
Yeah.
If in order for my arm to look straight, I have to like actually be bending it. Like this looks straight, right?
Yeah.
I can't really even tell, but that's bending. If I extend it all the way, that's just what happened.
My God, that's crazy.
That's another reason why I'm not a good dancer.
Angle.
Because in order for my arms to be straight, they actually feel bent.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
There you go. We got a lot of skills.
We got weird bodies. I can also put my left thumb behind my knuckle of my forefinger.
So we're ballerinas is what we're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, our bodies are imperfect, but in their imperfections, they're better. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, Janet loved ballet and was one of those people who kind of just like had it, She had the X Factor, like the Justin Guarini on season 1 of American Idol kind of thing. A lot of teachers, however, would not take her on because she was black. But her mom found a few teachers who would, and Janet's mom would make costumes for like Janet and all the other girls in exchange for lessons. And then as Janet got older, she would teach tap classes to the younger kids in exchange for private studio time. So just like a very resourceful family. And it was the perfect storm of Janet's undeniable talent, her whole family being like, there's no way you're getting rid of us. And a few teachers who saw this and were like, well, there's no way we're letting her go. Like, she's amazing. When Janet was 15, she auditioned for the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. which I guess is like a very prestigious
ballet.
When she's like 15 years old. She's the only black girl there. She gets on stage and she said she could like hear all of the other ballerinas whispering about her and sort of like giggling and laughing, like, what the fuck is she doing there?
A real Rudolph situation.
A real Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer situation. And she could see like the looks of skepticism and doubt on everybody. But then the music started and Janet danced.
Guided that damn sleigh.
She guided the sleigh all the way to prima ballerina, baby. Woo. She fucking danced those ballerinas to silence.
Yes.
And when she finished, the director was in awe. He offered her a position, but under one condition. If Janet wanted to dance with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo, she would have to, do you want to guess what she would have to do?
Turn white.
Yeah.
Really?
She would have to paint her skin and body white.
No.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
They wanted her to be in whiteface. So
that was okay. That's gonna look so just aesthetically. That's ridiculous.
It's so much dumber.
That looks so
obviously
bad. I mean, yeah, it's obviously like all the moral reasons, but just like artistically, that's a bad choice. You don't want to work with. They have no idea. Wait, is this in Monte Carlo? I guess, or no, it's in California.
This is in California.
Okay. Oh my God.
Think. And Janet was like, no, I don't want this job then.
Good.
So she turned it down. And she said she walked outside, sat on the steps and cried and just like let herself feel her feelings, because like that's part of getting past it. It's just like sitting in it. It's something I have a very difficult time with, of just like feeling those feelings and being okay with it.
Yeah.
And
I feel them too much. I just never get over them.
Yeah. Well, but Janet's grandmother was like, baby girl, get back on that bar. And so Janet did, and she was just like, fine, fuck this. She like basically her family like knew the odds, and they knew that there had never been a black ballerina, but they pushed her to be the exception and to be so good that she was undeniable.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, it's pretty amazing.
Super amazing. So
the whole time that Janet was training in ballet, she was also going to these venues where she was more welcomed. So like, you know, outside of the establishment, which include
the indie rooms.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like part of why her dancing style was so unique, because she could incorporate all of these other styles. So she was just like this blend of cultures. She would perform at the YMCA with these like Jewish groups who would like dance little like horas and klezmer and stuff. And then she started performing with this touring jazz ballet troupe. But she was still the only black ballerina, and she couldn't travel to the South because of the segregation laws, which said that she couldn't share a stage with white performers.
Wow.
Which is so infuriating. Like, I mean, it's infuriating, obviously, for a lot of reasons, but also, like, it's jazz, dude. Like, you don't get to, like... Yeah. It makes me so mad when people enjoy the art of the people who they oppress.
Yeah.
Do you, like, how dare you? Like, you don't get to do that.
Yeah.
Like, Liz was telling me... after the election, this girl who she knew from back home in Florida was like, who like voted for Trump, was coming to New York and emailed Liz and was like, what like Broadway plays should I go see? And Liz was like, I'm not telling you. She's like, you don't get to like vote for somebody who's like gonna oppress gays and then enjoy like gay art.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
good for her.
Good for her. And Janet was just like, so Janet had to like stay home, and the understudies would do it, and then eventually she ended up quitting that because she was just like, fuck this. And then she started dancing with a guy who, like, okay, I don't know anything about dance. I feel like based on the way that these articles said his name, he like was like a very prestigious ballet dancer, but she started dancing with a guy named Tally Beatty, who was also black, but also light skinned. And so they were often billed as Latinos because it was easier for them to perform as Latinos than it was for them to perform as black. Wow. And they would perform in nightclubs around the country. Wow. And also that made like that's how she learned how to dance like the Roomba and like tango, like
the Roomba.
Roomba.
Isn't it Roomba?
No, it's Roomba.
Why is that the name of also a vacuum cleaner?
It's a great question. I think because the vacuum cleaner like dances on its own. I went to a Roomba competition once when I studied abroad in Cuba and watched I watched a man who was probably like 65. He did that thing where like he stands on one foot and turns. Wow. Do you know what I mean? And like it looks like his foot is staying in the same place and his body is moving. His turning. Do you know what I mean?
No, but that's
there's this cool. Like it's like insane. It's so cool.
That's awesome.
But the Roomba is crazy hard.
Wow.
So basically she could dance any style and she did it better than anybody else. Then she went to New York and put on a solo show that she choreographed because she was just like, fine, if nobody is going to make me the soloist in their ballet, like I'll fucking do my own.
Cool.
John Martin, a dance critic for the New York Times, wrote, "There is a wonderful sense of aliveness in the dancer's presence and in her moving. She is not self-absorbed, but is dancing completely and whole-souledly for an audience. On the other hand, there is no air of showing off about it, no coyness or coquetry, but only an apparent desire to establish and maintain a communicative contact." Then she was in the movie Stormy Weather as one of the dancers in the dance troupe, and she was a soloist in The Thrill of Brazil. She said, like once she had reached some success, she was quoted as saying, "You don't get there because, you get there in spite of." Just like, ugh, beautiful.
Cool.
Members of the dance establishment finally started to take notice because she had been in fucking movies and shit.
Wow.
In 1950, she danced on Broadway for the Cole Porter musical Out of This World.
Cool.
Do you know that?
I don't know the musical. I know Cole Porter.
Walter Terry wrote in the New York Herald Tribune, "It took no more and probably less than 8 measures of movement in the opening dance to establish her claim to dance distinction. She could and probably would stop a Broadway show in its track." She won the Donaldson Award for Best Dancer on Broadway in 1951, which is also crazy because at this point she's 34 years old, which for a ballerina is pretty up there. I looked it up. In the 1990s, the average retirement age of a ballerina was 29.
Wow.
Also, like, I will say, like, because sometimes I look at ballerinas, like, I mean, they do, most of them have eating disorders. Like, they are so little.
I mean, I don't know that that's true.
They are 10 times more likely to have an eating disorder than like, the general population. But, like, Janet doesn't look like that. Like, she looks, like, muscular. And I'm not saying, like, they're not, but like she doesn't look sick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at them and they look like little waifs, like that they would, which is like kind of the point. I mean, like you have to be light to be lifted. I get it, but
and to jump high.
But you know, it's like,
no, it's a balance. You know, we've all seen Center Stage.
Is that the
it's that movie about the ballet dancers?
Yeah, where they like decide to do the Michael Jackson thing.
An eating disorder. No, I don't know if it's about Michael
Am
Jackson.
I mixing it up? They want to do a dance that's like more modern and like hip.
I don't remember that.
It's like the blonde girl, whatever. Okay, I think I'm thinking of the same movie.
I don't know. I haven't seen it in years.
But there's a bulimic
I just remember
chick.
there was a bulimic girl.
Yeah.
Then probably
they're on a boat at one point.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know. I should see that. I liked it when I saw it years ago.
I think it's the same.
I just know that there was a bulimic one.
Yeah, there's always a bulimic one. Okay, but then anyway, back to the story. A year later, in 1952, she became the first black performer at the Metropolitan Opera.
Oh.
And she did it as the prima ballerina.
Wow.
And this was 4 years before Marian Anderson, who was the opera's first black singer. So, like, if you Google Metropolitan Opera first African American, Janet doesn't come up. Marian did, which she should, but so should Janet. Janet danced with the Met until 1954. She was in Carmen and like Aida. and something else as like the prima ballerina. She married a fellow dancer and continued to teach dancing throughout the years. In 1974, the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater did a tribute to Janet, which I was supposed to go see the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater a few years ago, and I got the flu and I didn't get to go.
That sucks.
Just a side note. But otherwise, like, Janet was largely forgotten. She moved to Fort Worth, Texas, and died in 2003. And I found out about her because this podcast that I listened to called The Nod, which is like, it's like about Black culture, but they had Hillary from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Whoa.
As one, I forget her real name. It's Karen something, but she was their guest because she has this project called Sweet Blackberry, which is like a project teaching forgotten Black figures in history to children. And so she was on there talking about like her project. And one of the ones that they like just raised a bunch of money for to do is Janet Collins.
Cool.
So that's Janet Collins.
It's called the Blackberry?
It's called Sweet Blackberry.
Sweet Blackberry. Cool.
My sources were Sweet Blackberry, The Telegraph, Ballet by the Numbers, the New York Times Obituary by Jennifer Dunning, NPR, it was Marian Anderson's groundbreaking Met Opera moment, Prima, African American Registry, which seems problematic, and Britannica.
Wow.
That's
good
Janet
one.
Collins.
That was a good one.
Is that too short?
No, mine's going to be a little short too, I think. So this might just be a short one. That's okay.
Okay.
My person is also a first and an African American woman, but she was the first woman in general, the first known female firefighter. Her name was Molly Williams.
Oh, you guys have the same name.
Same name, baby. She was, unfortunately, an enslaved woman. She was enslaved by a wealthy businessman named Benjamin Aymar, in New York City. He had 8 kids who she
in New York?
Yeah. It was in like the early 1800s.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I know. Surprising.
Yeah,
huh?
I forget about that.
I guess it like could happen.
Yeah, not like probably not was.
I mean, it's legal. Slavery's legal, right, in the whole country. So
yeah, and
New York has like farms. 1810s. There's not much known about her. It's like this was in Manhattan. I mean, but like Manhattan was not very, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that was surprising to me too. But I guess it's it's 55 years before the Civil War.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably less. There's less slavery up here, but I think there is.
Yeah. Is it like in the fields?
I mean, she lived in in their townhouse in Lower Manhattan.
Okay.
So no, she was like a cook and a cleaner.
Okay. So yeah, I guess like you could still just like have a servant who you don't pay.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Seems like you could. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know that was a little surprising to me, but anyway.
All right, New York with your high ground.
I mean, I think it was a lot more rare, and I do think it was slavery. I mean, we could look it up when slavery was outlawed in New York. I think maybe it was before.
I'll check if you want to.
Yeah, you check.
Am I connected to your Wi-Fi?
I don't know. It's a reference that I don't get.
Did Louis make it?
No, Louis' like old roommate made it, and it's a Twin Peaks reference, and I don't get it, and it's very upsetting to me that my wife.
You're the Lodge.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm connected.
There. Do you watch Twin Peaks?
No.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so yeah, look up when New York outlawed it, because I should have looked that up, but I didn't. Anyway, so she was owned by Benjamin Aymar, Aymar, and he was
1827.
Ah, there you go. So yeah, it was this was like 1810s. The law in 1817, a new law passed that would free slaves born before 1799, but not until 1827. So 1827 is when it ended officially in New York. Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. There you go. Yeah. So anyway, so here. This guy, Benjamin Aymar, was a volunteer firefighter because the whole firefighter system was volunteer at that point, with Oceanus Engine Company 11 in Lower Manhattan. And there's not much known about her, but it's mostly just like lore, but basically some people say that she was like the cook for the firehouse. But there wasn't really like a firehouse in the way there is now. So like most likely she would just cook food for Benjamin like at the house, and then but just cook a lot of it and just bring it over to all the firefighters. And then other people say that she like would go with him and like follow him around and like help him while he was fighting fires or whatever. Anyway, so I mean it's probably some combination where she was, you know, she was an enslaved person by him, and she like was involved and knew how to do things. So in 1818 there's this big blizzard that hits New York City, and there's an influenza outbreak, and so a lot of the firefighters in Engine Company 11 are taken out by the influenza. And so while she's like caring for them, the story goes, you know, the alarms go off, there's a fire, and most of the men are incapacitated. So she's taking care of them, and so I have the flu. I know. So she puts on her checked apron and her calico dress, which everywhere was talking about this damn calico. I guess it's just a type of fabric, but I'd never heard of calico.
So like
in my
made
life.
Of cats? Calico cat.
Oh, is that type of cat?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I don't think it's made of cats. I think it's just like a poor fabric. Okay. I tried to look it up, but I couldn't really understand why. They were just like a fabric, and I was like, okay.
Isn't it so funny when like these stories where there's not much known, when they do know one thing, they just keep repeating
it over and over.
They're like, look at this
single
fact.
Source
we know
was
this
like,
thing.
Checkered apron and calico dress. I was like, cool. That's not when was she born? Like, I don't like when
we don't
did she
know.
Have kids? Like, what's going on? Like, who?
No clue.
What did she like to do? Like, I had nothing. Okay. But anyway, so she like decides to fill in, and the story goes that she hauls the pumper, which I guess they used to use. They used to have these like manual water pumps that you would have to haul to a fire, like physically carry to a fire, and then find like a nearby like rain basin or like well or river and just like fill it up with that. So it was all very like manual. So she like hauled the pumper to the fire. I saw one thing that said that she did it by herself, and another thing that said she did it with like whoever was available, which I think is more likely. But anyway, she helped. She like was a firefighter that day, and after that she earned the nickname Volunteer Number 11. And then the story goes that after that she would just like help them whenever they needed help. That's literally like all that's known about her, though. I don't know when she died or anything.
Is this also like when and maybe you'll get to this, I don't know, but like when like you had to pay the firefighters to like put out the fire in your place?
I don't know. I didn't see anything about that.
Because it used to be,
it just said volunteer, so I'm assuming that maybe it was volunteer.
There are like these stories about competing firefighters like from different houses or whatever showing up to a fire and like arguing over who got to take it. War. Yeah, bidding wars. And then that's also crazy. Like, you know, if they knew that they couldn't, if like somebody couldn't pay, they would just like, you would either just not call the fire department, or the firefighters would like come and not do it.
Oh my God.
That's why your tax dollars are important. That's what it goes to.
Oh my God.
Firefighters.
That's awful.
Okay, but that's all that's known about Molly.
No, that's all that really we know. But it kind of led me to talk about women in the FDNY. It's really startling. Our friend Julie had pointed this out. She has a family friend who's a firefighter, and he told her that it was like 38 out of 11,000. The numbers are a little more updated than that, but the most recent number is there's 64 female firefighters in New York out of about like 10,500.
Jesus.
Which is like less than 1%.
The 1%, the elite 1%.
And look, I brought this up, and you're definitely, and one is definitely like, all right, well, it's a really physical job, so maybe blah, blah, blah. But to compare it, in 2013, Miami, San Francisco, and Minneapolis all had between 13 and 17% women in their fire.
So
like we have less than 1%.
Also,
so
like
New York,
there are some very out of shape firefighters.
Well, they have to be. I think you might be thinking of policemen. Firefighters,
No.
maybe they become firefighters and then they get out of shape because the test is crazy that they have to take. In order to get in there, it's very. I learned about that. So like you have.
Do they never have to retake it? It's just the one time.
I don't know if they have to retake it. Maybe it's just one time. But the fire. I don't think I agree with, because most firefighters are very hot.
Most of them are, but there are also some like very out of shape ones.
Really?
I pass one every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe he's like a lieutenant or something, and he just sits
also I watched Rescue Me, and there are a couple in there too.
Is that a fictional television
program? It is a fictional television program. But it seems like
cool.
There's like a diverse group of firefighters in terms of how they look.
Yeah. I'd say in order to get in, you have to pass a crazy physical test. So at least for like several years, like when they first start. I don't know if you have to take the test again or what, but the job is very physically taxing. Yeah. But that is to say, like, so yes, probably if there was no sexism in this workplace, it would still probably be majority male, but the numbers would not be so staggering. I think even in other cities, it's like there still is this, in any place. I read an article in the Washington Post about someplace in California where they fight, wildfires, and like Northern California, and they were
everywhere in California.
Right. I know, seriously. But they were having like similar things. It was very similar to the coal mine industry that we were talking about, where women are seen as outsiders. They're propositioned for sex. There was one thing in this article about the people in California, the women in California. One woman was like, her supervisor told her to tell him when her menstrual cycle started, and another woman was like almost raped. I don't know, like, because then he'll know when she's crazy or whatever.
I feel like you would. Never mind.
What?
I feel like you'd
want a woman on her period
yes.
to fight a fire. Probably, yeah. She's very angry.
And ready to go.
Ready to go. Very angry. Although for me, not really. I get very sleepy. But I'm not going to be a fucking firefighter. So there you go. But yeah. Yeah, so like just all kinds of horrible shit that's like expected but also horrible. But yeah, it's just like, look, I know like the argument for this is like, yes, women are less physically strong in general, but there are plenty of very physically strong women, and it's not coincidental. The numbers shouldn't be this stark. There are plenty of women who are athletes. Like there's so many professional female athletes that women can be this strong if they're encouraged to be this strong, and if they want to do it, and if the environment is supportive. So it's like, I think honestly it should probably be like 60-40 or some shit. The fact that it's in many major cities, it's like 15% women or whatever, is still horrible. But in New York, it's less than 1%, and that is fucking ridiculous.
Why is it so much worse in New York?
I couldn't really figure it out. I mean, there's just like more of a machismo vibe here. But like there's so a little bit of a history of it So Molly Williams was a firefighter in the volunteer service in New York in like 1818 or whatever. And then in other cities, women get hired like here and there. But the next woman to be hired in New York happens in 1982.
Jesus.
Yeah, 1982, Brenda Berkman led 41 women in a discrimination lawsuit because basically in 1977. Okay, so before that, like in 1973, discrimination against women in the workplace became illegal. And then in 1970,
that's so late. That's
crazy.
So late.
So then in 1977. I'm pretty sure that's true. Maybe I should. That's what one thing said.
And nobody's ever broken that law.
Right. And so then in 77, the FDNY created a physical test that no woman passed. And basically it was a physical test that was like unnecessary.
Can you lift up a stone with your dick?
Yeah, exactly. And it was a lot of like weight and height requirements too that were kind of absurd. So the lawsuit basically said that the test had to be based on the job. The test had to be based on things that you actually had to do as a firefighter,
right.
Which is like, of course it does. Like, why? Who cares if you can do all this extra shit if you just do it's like whatever the task is, can you do the task? Like, and so once that test was created,
can you climb a ladder? Can you hold a hose?
Right, and the hoses are very heavy. I mean, like, again, it is very physically strenuous,
of course.
But yes, but base it on that. So they created this test, and then immediately 41 women passed. So that was in 82. Amongst them were several African-American women. One of them, her name was Ella McNair. She was encouraged to apply by her neighbor, who was one of the good ones. They faced like a ton of this bullshit that we would expect. But an example is a pretty horrible example. In 1986, Ella McNair walked into her firehouse to find an article, like a sort of a disparaging article about female firefighters hung on the wall. And she went to go rip it down, and then she realized it was glued to the wall. So she found a knife and she started to like scrape it off. And a male firefighter who was drunk on the job came over, grabbed the knife out of her hands, and it sliced her fingers. So, the judge in that case recommended that he be fired, but the FDNY instead suspended him and fined him $15,000, which other dudes in the firehouses raised within a few days to pay for him. So yeah, I think that that's part of why it's like this is not an environment that wants women there. They're seen as outsiders. They're discouraged from being there. There's now this thing called the United Women Firefighters, which has been around since like the 80s, but I saw this like video on Jezebel about how they provide trainings. So, and it's like a video and an article. It's pretty cool. But I guess this organization partnered with New York Sports Club, and they do trainings like 3 days a week. They're 2-hour trainings, and they're hard as hell. Yeah. Like one of the exercises the woman talked about was like, sometimes they're wearing these 50-pound vests, and they do like 20 burpees and then hold 45 pounds over their head for an extended period of time while carrying like 45 pounds on their bodies. Like just like crazy workouts. One thing they said in there was that the part of the physical exam is you have to do like 30 push-ups, 30 sit-ups, and 4 pull-ups. But I like, again, it's like super hard, but I think it's like, it is achievable for women. Like there's women who can do that. Like also, it's not like,
I mean, I can't now, impossible. But like when I was in high school, when I was a swimmer, I could do push-ups for days.
Yeah. Pull-ups are the hardest thing, for women, because it's like mostly upper body, but still it's doable. It's so doable. You know, I mean, it's hard, but it's doable. And it's just not the case that it's like, yes, again, I'm conceding that probably overall there would be more men, but the numbers should not be this scarce, like, at all.
Well,
it's
and
ridiculous.
It's cyclical too. It's like, I mean, we've said it before, we'll say it again, but like representation matters. So if as a little kid you go on a field trip and you see the firehouse and you're a little girl and you don't see any women there, it like gets into your head that like this is not a job that you're supposed to do.
It was really cool. The Jezebel article about this, she like went to one of the trainings, the reporter, and it's just like, she said it, and you can tell in the video, it's like super inspiring. Like they all help each other. They're all like, there's just like a huge camaraderie, and they all like bond over their shared like horrible experiences or like cool, you know, and it's just like this group of women who get together to train other women to try and take the test. And the test is really tricky. So in order to apply to be a firefighter in New York, you have to be between 17 and a half and 28 years old to apply.
Okay.
But then they only give the test every like 4 to 5 years because spots open up so infrequently. So after you apply, you have to pass a written exam, then there's an interview, then there's the physical test, like the exercise test, then you'd have to pass, and this is like, you know, people get dropped out after each thing. Right. Then there's medical, physical, drug tests, background checks, and then you're only hired if a spot opens up, and then you have to go through the fire academy. So it's all like, it takes forever. So but this year they just did a bunch of a call for applications this year, and there was like a greater increase in women applicants and also diversity applicants, because I also learned that in 2014, I didn't know this, but the city settled a racially discriminatory lawsuit with the FDNY. Because that was also a problem. So, you know, the city's greatest or whatever.
Finest. Is it also like, well, is firefighting like similar to police officers in that it's a lot of like father-son kind of like, it's I'm like not sure,
but I mean, possibly. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That didn't come up anywhere, but likely, but yeah, there's also like, so there's this thing on the ACLU website that's from 2013 that talks about, that's just like, why so few female firefighters NYC, and that's where I got that 13 to 17% number for like some other major cities. But basically, you know, they said like women are viewed as intruders. They've been harassed, threatened. They've gotten the silent treatment for their male coworkers. They found their gear tampered with. and supervisors.
That's so crazy
refusal to impose accountability on the perpetrators.
Like, you're fucking with somebody's gear, like that'll get somebody killed.
Yeah,
like you just have so little
really
reverence for.
So then there's this other thing that there's
a woman's life.
Yeah, and then it's like also it's like you're impeding her to go help people who are in trouble. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like one less person who's like ready when there's an emergency, whatever. But so then this article also points out that even though they did make that physical test more job related, they did add a piece where you have to be able to run 1.5 miles in 12 minutes, which is a requirement that's not in this physical test. So that some people are thinking that they just like weird add-ons and stuff. That woman who had that lawsuit in 86, Brenda Berkman, she spoke like about this, and she said, quote, "Until the department stops repeating the mistakes of the past using illegal, quote, requirements and stops treating women firefighters as second-class employees who are terminated unfairly and denigrated in the department, it will continue to be difficult to recruit qualified women candidates to the FDNY." So yeah, the problem is complicated. I mean, it just seems really systemic. Yeah. And yeah, but it was really inspiring to watch that video of the female firefighters and the woman who is the president of the United Women Firefighters. Her name, oh gosh, I hope I don't butcher it, but it's Sarinya Shris Akul. She's the first Asian American woman to be hired by the FDNY, and she was like super inspiring and cool and nice seeming. So yeah, it made me, honestly, I liked watching that. I was like, damn, I'm sad that it's too late for me to be I don't really want to be a firefighter, but I do want to go train with them.
Yeah,
that sounds fun as hell.
I want to train with them. I feel like I feel like I could be ready right now because I've been working out a lot. I'm like 30, like I could do, I don't know if I could do 30 push-ups, but I do 20 burpees, and then I think it would be hard, but I think I could keep up. Yeah. I mean, I'm in like some of the best shape I've ever been in my life, so that's why. Yeah. It's still not great. It's just like I have some muscles. It's like great. I don't know if I'll ever be as strong as I was in high school.
Yeah, I guess I set the bar really low the rest of my life, so that's all. I've just been working out a lot, so
that's great.
It's great.
I did the other day park kind of far away, and it was cold, and I was like, well, I'll just jog home, and I jogged home. Ooh. And then I was like, maybe I should a bag? Jog. No, I had my coat. Oh. But I had tennis shoes on, and you or my sneakers or whatever.
Your coat?
Yeah, my coat was on, but I was just, and it was one of those like, oh, maybe I should like start jogging. See, but then yesterday it snowed, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't.
Well, look,
ever. I mean, it's so slippery and scary.
Now you don't. But I don't know. Is the snow melted a little bit? I haven't been outside all day.
Yeah, it's melting. There's like spots where like it's been so people have stepped on it so much that it's icy now. You know, it's crunched down, it's condensed, but the roads are fine. Okay. Last night driving home from All Female Reboot was a little scary.
Did you drive or did Jackie drive?
I drove.
Oh my god.
Well, because Liz had like all this stuff, like we had so much stuff where I was like, yeah, it's gonna be way helpful to have a car.
But it was like actively snowing.
Yeah,
that's a little scary.
But it was a little scary. I went slow,
and it was not very far, huh?
You hear that, Mom? I went slow. I drove slow,
and it was like, I mean, that was probably like a 20-minute drive or something.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Not even. I have a Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So yeah, every episode we try to choose a woman who's like making a difference today to be recognized. And this week it's Elaine, I'm going to say her name wrong, Welteroth, who is the editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue. Because basically like the last year Teen Vogue has gotten really, really good. Yeah. And Liz was telling me, because she babysits a girl who's like 10 and was just sort of like flipping through her Teen Vogue, and there was like a thing about hairstyles, but it was like from like they used Hillary Clinton throughout the years and Ruth Bader Ginsburg throughout the years of like their hairstyles to and like I like, and then like Lauren Duca's writing and just like stuff where I'm like, man, I wish I had that, because that was not like
what Teen Vogue was.
Not at all. It was like it was just like what to do with that pimple.
Yeah.
Because you have pimples.
Right.
Like,
Which
you're a
like
teen
still
girl.
is sometimes, which is like good. You need mix.
Yeah, but there was no... There's Ruth Bader Ginsburg never made it into an edition.
No.
And apparently last year, like in 2016, this woman was named editor-in-chief, and she's sort of like taken the magazine in this direction of being sort of like political and whatever. She is 2 years older than me.
Damn.
When I read that she was
my age.
She was born in 1987, and I was like, Cool. What am I doing with myself? But she did say the best career advice she's ever gotten was bite off more than you can chew, and then chew as fast as you can. And I was like, okay, all right. I'm really trying to...
I like that. Trying to bite off more than you can chew?
I'm just trying to believe in myself.
Is that biting off more than you can chew? Believing in yourself?
I think it's just like when I'm given a task or an assignment, instead of panicking, just being like, okay.
Yeah. I think I need that, and I also need to be able to just do things without an assignment. That is my biggest fucking thing.
Yeah, that's impossible for me. That's so... I can't. Like, but I don't think I mean, I think... I don't know if I need that right now, because I have so many assignments. Yeah. Like this podcast, All Female Reboot, packets. Like, I don't... That's not so much the issue anymore.
I feel like there's space between packets when I'm like... Ugh. Whereas this is an assignment. I feel like this assignment I'm used to now. The podcast doesn't feel... I know how long it'll take me. It's just like an hour and a half a week or something of researching.
Yeah. I think it's probably... For me, it's like 2 hours of research and then an hour to write it up. Damn. And I try to do them separately.
Damn, you're putting more into this than me. I'm sorry.
I like to write up a story. Yeah. We just have different approaches. It's not more or less.
Well, one is more.
But yeah, so Elaine Welteroth, Welteroth, I believe. She's doing it. She's like being the change she wishes to see in the world. And I think she's really cool.
Subscribe to Teen Vogue.
Yeah, subscribe to Teen Vogue. Subscribe to Well Behaved.
Yes. Do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, but why don't you start? Because I got to go get my phone.
No, wait. I don't have anything. I don't know that I do.
Yeah, you do. You got something.
I'm going to California the weekend of Christmas. I'm doing shows at the Ace Hotel in Palm Springs on the 22nd and the 23rd of December. I think I want to show this Friday. Yeah, Camouflage Comedy at Big Irv's in Brooklyn this Friday. I think that might be it. Ooh, I'm going to see SpongeBob. And I'm on Creek Bros at the Creek in the Cave Saturday the 16th at 8 p.m.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to see SpongeBob the musical on Tuesday. But that is just for me and my friend Margot, who's in town. Yeah.
Okay, I will be doing a half hour all this week at the Creek in the Cave at 7:00. So that's December 11th through December 15th. I will be doing a half an hour, and Maria Wojciechowski will be doing half an hour. Yeah. And it's going to be really fun, and we're going to tape it, and it's going to be great, or it'll be fine. But either way, we're doing a half hour, and I'm very excited. Yay. On Tuesday, December 12th at 8:30, I'll be at the Irish Exit for hot soup. On Saturday, December 16th, I will be at the Pit at 10:30, and I will be at New York Comedy Club at 11. And I think that's it for next week.
Cool. Then next week you and I have to record 2 of these.
Yeah, we'll record 2 on Tuesday.
I'm going out of town.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You know what? I'm not.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. How did we go long enough?
I'm sure it's fine.
Okay. Well, we love you all. Keep making history. Do it.